Congresswoman Maxine Waters is highly critical of the man appointed to oversee the taxpayer bailout, or Wall Street bailout, Neil Kashkari, and she's also critical of the chairman of the House Financial Services Committee, Congressman Barney Frank. Congresswoman Waters, also a Democrat, is critical as well of the government's handling of the housing market crisis, and she's introduced her own legislation aimed at helping homeowners. Congresswoman Waters joins us tonight from Los Angeles. Congresswoman Waters, good to have you with us.
Well, thank you. I'm delighted to be with you, Lou.
Congresswoman, this is, we just heard Senator DeMint, and he reflects a certain view. You've been critical of Barney Frank, the chairman of the Financial Services Committee, and others. Why in the world? And Kitty Pilgrim just reported here on this broadcast, the Help Now program designed to help 400,000 homeowners in this country out of 1 million who've been foreclosed upon over the past year. 100 people have been helped, Congresswoman. I mean, have your colleagues lost their minds down there?
Well, let me just say this. I am not critical of Barney Frank. He's a great chairman. He has worked hard. He's bent over backwards trying to make everything work. I just think that given everything that we have done, everything that he's tried to work out, the Treasury, headed by Paulson, is refusing to help the homeowners. We gave that bailout $700 billion in order to help homeowners. We want to do these loan modifications.
Well, wait. Congresswoman, yes. that legislation wasn't designed for homeowners. No, ma'am. That was the that was the Troubled Asset Recovery Program. As a matter of fact, Hank Paulson, when he came up there and told you all that the world was going to end, that we're going to be in a meltdown, he wasn't even thinking about providing equity to institutions. He was all about toxic assets, remember? He wasn't talking about homeowners. As a matter of fact, it wasn't until 2 weeks ago that this Treasury Secretary came to Capitol Hill to say that they were so good as to just to consider the welfare of homeowners. I mean, the man has been an arrogant...
The thing about it is those toxic assets, those non-performing assets, was the mortgages. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
The non-performing toxic assets
were the
mortgages that they were supposed to buy up.
We've heard so much nonsense from this Treasury Secretary over the course of this fiasco. Real people are hurting, and we still have not seen action by this democratically led Congress, neither in the House nor the Senate. And frankly, with 1 million foreclosures, you could have written checks to every one of those people foreclosed upon over the course of the past year and spent only $200 billion. You could have spent only $200 billion.
The first thing, this is this administration's program. Mr. Paulson was appointed by this president. The first thing that Barack Obama is going to do is to deal with modifications of these loans and stop these foreclosures and help to shore up these communities where the houses are being devalued because there are so many boarded up housing. The value of the housing is being lost across the board. And he has said this is what he would like to see done with this bailout money.
Well,
this administration is not doing it.
That's great. That's fine. But that Democratic Congresswoman, went along with... I'm sorry?
We voted for this bailout, and the top of the agenda was to buy the non-performing.
But I'm just saying to you, Congresswoman, there are real people hurting.
Banks.
There are real people hurting here. Why in the world is Congress going along as business as usual? This needs to be stopped and real people helped right now.
Well, I agree with that, and that's what I'm fighting so hard about. That's what so many of us are fighting about. We have a Treasury Secretary who decided to take the money and go in a different direction.
All right, where's Barney
Frank? Give the money to all of these banks.
Where is your chairman, Barney Frank? Where is Chris Dodd, the Senate Banking Committee chairman? We've heard the catcalls and the criticism and all of this noise. You've got legislation you want to see introduced.
Yes, I have. I've introduced legislation, and that's the legislation that would adopt the program that Chairwoman Sheila Bair is using with those people who were in the IndyMac closeout. she has shown that you can do loan modifications. You can keep people in their homes. Many of these loans that were done were predatory to begin with. The interest rates were too high, and so you can reduce those interest rates. You can reduce that capital, and people can afford to stay in those homes, and that's what I'm pushing in my new legislation.
And good for you. And the Congresswoman was referring to Sheila Bair, the chair of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, who has put forward a program
She's
of
done a fabulous job.
$25 billion and has been the clearest and most intelligent and compassionate voice in Washington, D.C., whether we're talking about the Senate or the House or the White House. She's been remarkable. I think you would agree.
And she's getting resistance from the Treasury Secretary.
They're fighting her every step of the way. They're fighting her every step of the way, and I'm going to try and adopt that program in the legislation that I put forward. Good luck, Congresswoman. We wish you the
best.
best.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Congresswoman Maxine Waters.